Hey, what's up guys, John here. Truckers nationwide are set to cut off the entire food supply to New York City in 9 hours at midnight tonight. Now, when you look at what's going on right now, it's, the former president was just fined $355 million.
A New York judge ordered Donald Trump and his family to pay more than $350 million in penalties for fraudulently inflating his wealth for financial gain.
I have to pay a fine of $355 million. We will stop it.
And truckers around the nation that stand with that former president thinking that that ruling was unfair and unjust are saying, you know what? It happened in New York City, so we're going to really kick mud at New York City. We're not going to deliver food. We're not going to touch that city. And look at this video. I'm going to show it to you. 6 million views. It's exploding right now on X. I mean, this is trending with more than 13,000 posts mentioning the term. His supporter truckers refusing to take loads in New York after former president was fined $355 million. New York Post refusing to drive New York City after $355 million fraud ruling. All of these articles, all covering this. Now, look at this video.
Hey folks, your old pal Chicago Ray. I've been on the radio talking to drivers for about the last hour 15 minutes. And I'm talking to at least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from Southern Wisconsin. And they're going to start refusing loads in New York City starting on Monday. All right? I got about 3 drivers that I drive with. They already vibrated the boss and told them they ain't going to New York City. So, I don't know.
This is absolutely shocking. I'm going to show you what's going on in New York, but more importantly, how this is going to be much bigger than New York City. This is coming to major cities all around the world, and this isn't an opinion. Some of the most powerful people are telling us that this is what is likely coming next. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you the facts. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really going on in the world's economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for a harder and more inflationary world to get funding, maybe for your business, maybe to invest in distressed real estate, you're going to need exceptional credit to get the best loans. So if you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, and schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow, for Monday. Take a look at this. So this is 187,000 views. If truckers start denying loads certain regime-controlled cities, it's going to get spicy. 156,000 views. Boycott New York. God bless our truckers. People need to show their power enough, right? 93,000 views. Now, the trucker boycott is exploding. This is just today, and this is, this morning. So this will likely pick up throughout the rest of the day. I mean, this trend for Boycott NYC is going off the charts. Now, when you look at this, 235,000, I mean, you're looking at millions and millions and millions of views and people supporting this big action. I personally believe that that this story, I think there's other people behind this. I don't think it's just, truckers standing up. I think that we're looking at, a controlled demolition of food supply chains, of everything that we know that's stable in America. That's what I think is really happening. I think we're walking into something really, really concerning. If you look at, what's happened in the world the last few years, every single week, it's a new breaking story, a new major event, to where people have just become so numb to everything, right? When you look at the organization of all of this happening essentially overnight, you have to ask yourself, is this something that's actually just going to organically happen, or are we walking into a really, really, really big problem? I personally think we're walking into a big problem. I don't know if this is going to be the big one, but I know that we're walking into something really big. So here's what I mean by this. If you look at just the last 3 days, 3 days, 1 day, 3 days, this from UN, they warn that the climate chaos, food crisis threaten global peace. Empty bellies fuel unrest. Expert warns of dangerous factor that could cause food shortages across the world. Straw that breaks the camel's back. 1 day ago, U.S. agencies start inquiry, right, on how climate's adding stress to New York farmers. So you're starting to kind of see that this is going to be a really, really big disruption that we're walking into. This is going to be a lot bigger than I think this New York organization, this New York type of protest could be. I mean, that might be a big one. It might be a really big one, but I think we're walking into the real big one. I mean, look at these articles. So this is shocking. How climate is addressing stress for New York farmers. Researchers at Cornell say that climate has added more stress to being a farmer in New York and exacerbating the issues of higher costs and labor shortages. The report, which details the effect of climate in many industries across the state's economy, also found that climate may have a significant adverse impact on one of the state's staples, maple syrup. Key finding is the most severe impacts of climate will be associated with extreme weather like increased precipitation, short-term drought, heat stress, spring freezes. Climate is a major threat to New York State farmers. Farmers show awareness and acknowledgement of the impact of climate on their farms, and farmers are implementing and investing in practices that make their farm businesses more resilient to climate extremes. Enhanced support, financial assistance, and the research are crucial to enhance adaptive capacity across New York. Now, this is fascinating here. It says, experts warn of dangerous factor that could cause food shortages across the world. Straw that breaks the camel's back. Now it says right here, according to the famine early warning systems, El Nino combined with climate is likely to result in a drier and hotter than normal conditions in Southern Africa, Central America, Northern and South America into the early months of 2024, which is likely to affect food security in these regions. Now, I personally think this is going to instigate further migration. And I personally believe that a lot of these countries, as they start to step into, more food insecurity, they're going to start to, bring a lot more people here to America, right? And so if we are changing our food supply chains and changing the way in which we, manufacture and produce food, you have to ask yourself, what is this going to look like? Right? What are these changes really going to look like? I personally think that it's going to become inflationary, meaning all the costs are going to continue to get pushed onto consumers. So if we look at what inflation is right now, and we look at what it was just a couple years ago, just amplify this with all these new changes, all these new disruptions. I believe personally, and I could be wrong, that inflation is going to get much, much, much worse over the coming, 2, 3, 4 years. Meanwhile, above normal participation in the Horn of Africa and Central Asia in late 2023 and early 2024 could have a similar effect. Downturns in agricultural productivity due to droughts can also affect human migration patterns. For instance, one study found that unusual dry years were associated with 70.7% migration in Central America to the United States. A drought-induced migration pattern can be found in other regions of the world, in the case study in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And that's what I believe we're going to be walking into. Of course, drought also impacts the availability of drinking water. Last year, residents in an island, about 310,000 people, off the east coast of Africa, faced a water crisis. One woman told CNN that she had little to no running water in her home for 4 months. So you start to see this. Then, and by the way, all of this is within the last 72 hours. Then you had this article come out, this from UN chief, warns that climate and food crisis threaten global peace. Empty bellies, fuel, and rust. This came out, this is actually 4 days ago, right, February 14th. And he warned Tuesday that climate and food crisis are increasing threats to global peace, telling a high-level UN meeting that climate disasters imperil food production and empty bellies, fuel, and rest. So what I believe we're walking into is the real big one. The last couple of years, it was a little bit harder, a little bit more uncertain every single month. Everything was a little bit more strange. But the next couple of years, what we're walking into is a change in everything. Like everything that we knew that was once normal is going to change. And what I believe is going to happen is the difference between the have-nots and the have-yachts are going to get ever greater. And so the next couple of years is going to be extremely important to build wealth for yourself to where you can try to buy solutions to problems that will, in my opinion, will be inevitable. Climate and conflict are two drivers of our global food crisis. The Secretary General said, where wars rage, hunger reigns. Whether due to displacement of people, disruption of agriculture, damage to infrastructure, and deliberate policies of denial. Meanwhile, climate is imperiling food production the world over, he said. Gutierrez said the world is teeming with the examples of the devastating relationship between hunger and conflict. In war-torn Gaza, he said, no one has enough to eat, and the tiny airstrip accounts for 80% of the 700,000 hungriest people in the world. After more than a decade of war in Syria, he said 13 million Syrians go to bed hungry every night, and a Myanmar prospect of ending hunger have gone into the reverse because of the conflict and instability. Then, this is a completely different topic. He used the same headline, but what he says is that food shortages and rising prices on international peace and security, saying climate and conflict are the two leading drivers of global food crisis. So what do I think is going to happen? I think that we could see some disruption in New York. No doubt about it. I do think we could see it. Are we going to see some major tipping point for New York City time will tell. And, in the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to really be able to see this. But I do believe we're walking into a situation where we're going to see record high food inflation. We're going to see migration at levels in which we've never before seen. Some people are saying, you know what, we're seeing 5,000 people a day come over. That's a lot. I personally think that we're going to see 2, 3x that. I think what we're going to start to see in America the next couple of years is going to make America unrecognizable. So I believe we're going to see a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking for second passports, a lot of people that are looking for take some risk off the table. And those that are really paying close attention are going to be the ones that have options. Money equals options, and options equals wealth in 2024 onward. The world's definitely changed. There's no denying that. What do you think about this entire situation? Do you think we're going to see massive disruption across New York City starting tomorrow? Or do you think that that's just the beginning of what I believe is going to be a whole world of change? Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. And if you'd like to fix your credit, to position yourself for funding, maybe to grow and scale a business, to buy a distressed business, to invest in distressed real estate, to buy a vehicle or work truck, you're going to need exceptional credit to get the best funding possible. So if you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video and schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow, for Monday. Catch you next video.